yell barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Shut up. I'm rich. I'm richer than all this, you Hollywood trash.
A, you can never go too far. B, if I'm gonna get busted, it is not gonna be by a guy like that.
I'll be back.
Here's Johnny.
When you're working through finding the right people in your life, it can be tough in a digital world. With swiping apps, digits, it can be confusing. Well, on the Al Travis Show, we have Heather Dugan, our relationship expert, to help with all your relationship questions.
Love having her on the program. It's Heather Dugan. Heather, how are you?
I am well, Al, and yourself?
Good. Weather's fantastic. We're going to get a little golf in this afternoon, so life is good.
Surprise, surprise.
I'm sure. Well, weather's good, so that means I'm golfing. New York Times had an article, and I thought about you. I don't even know if I got it through you, but I love the article. Let me ask you this. You're divorced, correct?
Yes.
For a while? Okay. Did you have, the story was their rule while dating, no movies or restaurants, and this couple talks about the rules they had set up for themselves, which I would like to hear yours. I had rules about getting married when I had 3 of them, and I've made it 30 years. Now we'll talk. Did you have rules? Did Heather Dugan have rules going in?
You know what? I was a young child when I went back in my 20s. I was not. I don't know. My rules were, and not in any way to diminish, the father of my kids. We were both very young, and a lot of our skills were not developed yet. But I think, we were both looking for a soft place to land, kind of. Okay. So I would say I do remember one rule that I had was that if a guy was looking in the mirror at himself or looking at other women, I was probably not going to take, well, I didn't. I would cut off relationships when I saw that kind of thing, because it showed, I wasn't into somebody, at least I knew this much, that if they were not focused on talking to me and paying attention to me, that was probably not going to be a great long-term proposition. And another thing that kids today would not relate to is phone numbers. I typically, if I met someone and there seemed to be interest, I would not let them write down my phone number. I would make them memorize it to see.
Wow. If they were interested okay, now I could go with the first one, but now the second one. Okay, maybe you're a little high maintenance at the time. Oh wow, that's cool. People don't understand that because they just click their phones and they have their contact. That's an interesting one to me.
It's a measure.
That's a little deeper. I see. I'm feeling. I was going to share my 3 rules, but I don't think I want to anymore.
Please. No, I remember at some point we talked about one that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, involved toilet paper. Was
Charmin still use it today. If Charmin goes out of business, we're done. I told my wife, it was more expensive, but I care for my tush. So Charmin, Heinz ketchup, and all laundry detergent, the all clear, whatever it is, because I've since as a kid, I use some stuff and I just break it. I don't want to risk finding a new stuff that all break out in a rash. So it's those 3 things. I said, if she can put out those things, she can choose everything else in our lives. And I've stuck to it. Now, it's not deep stuff like you got to look at me while we're dating. I just didn't want, they were shallow now. But
look at me. It was engage with me, not be looking for a distraction elsewhere or be absorbed in yourself. But I would say, creature comforts were high on the list there. Just don't disrupt.
Heinz ketchup, let's be honest, it's the only real ketchup. So you got to have, let's not even muck around. So you got that. That's a gimme. And the detergent just itched a lot if I didn't.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? If you're sensitive and know that, that's important. Yeah, and it was keeping Al in
the best. I break out in huge rashes. It's not nice. It's not pretty.
It was keeping Al in the best condition he could be for Stephanie.
I did think it was asking too much. If I'm going to stay married for 30 years, these 3 things. I don't think I'm over the top. I don't.
Okay.
Now, what about people today? Because things that do bother me, this phone thing, where you watch into a restaurant and 2 people are sitting at a table. And if they're not texting each other, which would be sad as all get out, but if they're not and they're texting others, it's even sadder.
Yeah, that phone, if it is on the table, it should be facing down. And if you're going to get interrupted, let them know ahead of time so that you really, I mean, how in the world we compete with the world anymore for anybody's attention, and that's kind of a heavy load to bear. And it you miss details. You miss details. And we did with that article you're mentioning. What I really liked about it was that they remove the distractions that get in the way of getting to know somebody, and that's something we all battle. And their way, actually, it was something that I kind of aimed for myself in dating, which was to keep the spaces for conversation. And they did this by go ahead.
But the no movies things, I don't like that one, especially for beginner daters. And here's why: if you're just going to take someone out, let's go out, and you have 2 or 3 hours to fill. Yeah. That's a lot when you don't know each other very well. The ability to say, would you like to go to this movie with me? It gives you that opportunity to pick her up, talk on the way to the theater, find out if you're jamming or not, watch something you can then discuss coming back. Did you enjoy it? Did you not? I like the cushion of a good movie.
I can understand that. And it can create conversational starting points, right?
Yes,
right.
And something you have, remember when we watched that 30 years ago. I like the movie. The restaurant thing, that's the tough one. And today, in today's world, back in our day, it was nothing to say, would you like to go out to dinner? And it wasn't like, okay, I'll pick you up and drop you off, everything's fine. They don't do that stuff anymore. Now it's a huge commitment to have dinner. Maybe we should just have a cup of coffee or meet with, it's different today. But how do you throw the restaurant out?
Well, I will tell you one terribly uncomfortable situation. I was to meet a man for a first date, did not understand it. And this was before I kind of came up with my, let's try coffee or a drink first, and then we can expand from there. Yes. Because this man too, and both of these things that we're talking about here, movies and dinner, are huge investments anymore of not just time, but that's a lot of money.
Movies anymore. You're absolutely right. That's true.
It's So you kind of you blow that on maybe that's your dating money for the month. But I drove up to the restaurant and somebody jumped up, came out, grabbed my car. He already had the valet waiting for my car. Oh, wow. And parked it. And then it was elaborate dinner. And when you sit down and you begin maybe a conversation for the first time in person, we talked on the phone and that was fine. Yeah. And the vibe was not there. And we had this whole elaborate meal he planned in front of us. And that I felt terrible because of the amount of effort and money he was putting into this. And that's where I kind of came up with my own, let's keep the investment on the low side, because it didn't seem fair, right?
No, the other thing, but you learn a lot about a human at dinner, because I believe there are two kinds of humans in the world, and dinner separates them. And I came up with this later in life. Those that want to try other people's food off their, why don't we get this and we'll share? And then there are people that are normal like myself, order what you want, and I will eat what I want, and the two should not collide.
I think that there is merit there, and that's why you and I would never have dated. Because I'm all about, it's like if I like something, it tastes even better when I get to share it with somebody else, right? And I'm always curious. It's more fun. You can cover more of the menu if you both order different things.
But covering the menu, that's, again, I live in a small town. You're the biggest city. So we don't have a lot of restaurants. So I go and I get what I like, and I know I like it. So every time we go there, I get that because I know I will be happy. Yeah. My wife each time will try a different dish because,
she's curious, adventurous, right?
And there'll be times, this isn't what I hoped it would be. Here, try it. No. I go to dinner because I have insurance.
That better, Stephanie.
So you run a risk, and on your side of the table, run your risk and live with it. Again, it's so hard. These are things we need to know before marriage.
I agree. And I have this picture of you and Stephanie in a restaurant. You are at a very back table. Stephanie is facing out into the room. Al's back is to everybody with elbows up, Stephanie knows the rule, but nobody else.
These are just things we got to learn. We've got to go to break. Did we cover all that? Did you accept their rules? You thought their rules were good? The New York Times article?
It opens up. I think that this couple recognized that the opportunities for conversation are often lost when we have other stimuli coming at us, and their way of like walking through a museum where you're looking at pieces of art or maybe a garden and talking. That's how you find out if you want to spend more time with someone. If a lot of times everything's great for movies and dinner, and then they hang out for a weekend or whatever and discover they already talked about everything and nobody's curious enough to bring new topics to the table. That's done, right? So, yeah.
No, I do not share, Al. Sometimes quiet voice, don't share. Oh, my wife and I have been married 30 years.
Do you have two pantries in your home, Al? I want to know.
No, we went to Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It's 3 hours if you follow the right, but we went the back roads because it was supposed to be 20 miles less or something, but you never go over 20 miles an hour. It was the longest trip ever. I can tell you for a fact that 30 years of marriage and 3 hours on that trip down the road, we ran out. Conversation was done.
And that's why we have podcasts and audiobooks. Okay.
But you said you run out of stuff to talk about. I literally said, I go, guess that's it. 30 years, we're done. We had nothing left.
But now you have a memory and a laugh.
That's absolutely true. We'll be back after this with more with Heather Dugan on the Al Travis Show.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning and a comprehensive approach. At Midwest Money Management, our mission is to provide you with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to feel comfortable financially today and secure about tomorrow. Learn more at MidwestMoneyManagement.com. That's MidwestMoneyManagement.com.
Securities offered through JW Cole Financial Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Advisory services offered through JW Cole Advisors Inc., Midwest Money Management, and JW Cole Financial Inc. and JW Cole Advisors Inc. are unaffiliated entities.
Do you have a closet full of old videos, photos, slides, or films? Regain that space and preserve those memories for future generations. Visit archivinglifemedia.com or call 952-829-8018. See how safe and simple it is to digitize all your media. Gain peace of mind knowing that all those important memories will be saved and can be seen and shared again. Do it today. Check out archivinglifemedia.com or give them a call, 952-829-8018.
Al Travis Show, the last place you can go and hear all sides. Respectful, thoughtful, and grateful.
Love having her on. She's Heather Dugan, heatherdugan.com. Get her book, The Friendship Upgrade. If you're just joining us, we were talking about this couple out of a New York Times Magazine article that got rid of movies and restaurants so that they weren't distracted. And I believe, if I'm quoting you right, Heather, you said, yes, distractions are terrible for a relationship, so don't have children.
Nice.
Pretty much. Did I quote you pretty much word for word?
You added a few little extra thoughts there. I'm just hoping that on the break you had a chance to make sure all the food was still in the same place in your refrigerator over there, Al.
Don't touch my shelves in the fridge. That's all I'm saying. The other story, because we're driving to Eau Claire, Wisconsin. It was a graduation for a friend of mine since high school. We've got 4 of us have been together for quite a while.
Yeah.
So that's where we're driving to. And another article that we saw that we're going to chat about is drifting away from your friends. Mm-hmm. How do you bring that back? Yeah. And again, I think people worry too much. Here's my point. The 4 of us have been friends for forever, and we make it a point once a year to get together, but we did drift apart. People got married. People moved on to different parts of their lives. People had kids at different ages, and, it happens. Other people are friends, and that's great. Might be your neighbor for a while till he gets a new job and he moves her away. You're still friends, but you're just not barbarbecuing on a weekly. Isn't that okay? Why are we so panicked about our friend? Oh, well, goodness, he left.
Yeah, this is actually the book that you mentioned, The Friendship Upgrade. I get into a lot of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There are proximate friendships. There are situational friendships, and those do shift over time. And sometimes you have deeper bonds that hold you together. And if everybody's okay with that, and everybody recognizes that's what it is, you're in a good space. And I think it's wonderful that you've kept this, there's enough of a tie there between the 4 couples that you still maintain this. And that's good. It's a touch.
But don't we all have some of those that you just like, when you see them, it's like no time has passed. You just pick up, you went. It isn't, you didn't call me for 3 weeks. Or like, what's your problem? Come on, let's have a beer. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. You're allowed to speak too, Al. It is your show. But the 3 weeks in between are if somebody doesn't have enough of the other kinds of friendships that we need, that's where those gaps feel hard and harsh. And people might be reaching for more from a friendship that doesn't have more to give because they haven't built up the other kinds of connections they need in their life. People feel different needs, different spaces at different times. And, that whole feeling of being connected to your community and to have somewhere where you can really unload your heart is so essential to our well-being and our overall health, that if that part's missing, we're not going to be happy people. And so we have to do a little bit of work to keep that connection alive sometimes.
Permission to make a sexist statement?
Okay, he's going to do it. With permission.
I'm going to do it anyway.
Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, it's a good point. But these 10 questions, this article, it kind of gets to me, and I should have noticed whether a lady wrote it or not. Again, sexist statement. Like the first question, are you just busy or is it me? I say that to any one of these 3 guys, were you just busy or is it me? They will laugh me off the planet because we don't talk like that. You just suck it up and get over it. The idea that you question the other person to get over the patch or whatever, I don't understand it. It's not happening.
That phrasing isn't optimal for all situations, Al.
Or is it just me?
Yeah.
Words I've never said. Buck up, buddy. That's what I've said.
And everybody's just going to say, Al, it's you. It's you. It's you.
That's true. It would always be me.
Why not? Why take the time to put it on ourselves? But I think, what the essential question is maybe instead you just say, gosh, it has been crazy. Feel free to paraphrase, Al. Is your life as nuts as mine is right now? Is there a time we could connect? And connect is not a word you would use. Is there a time that we could
one syllable answer? One syllable things. Yes, absolutely.
All right. But I think I miss you, you don't have to say I miss you if that feels like a big, reach.
It does.
But I miss having a beer. Whatever it is you usually do. Okay. And it's because sometimes people are overwhelmed. Sometimes they don't have an opportunity to share in the way that they want to with you. And so they just keep going away because it's harder and harder to reach back. And
I would say this as we run out of time. I like the way you wrote it so much better in the friendship upgrade than this article here, because like I'm never using that line, never using this line. The friendship upgrade 10 times better than that article.
Well, thank you for that. We do need to talk about more, and we got to continue this conversation because I think it's a good place to be.
Let's do it in 2 weeks. In the meantime, get the friendship upgrade. Go to heatherdugan.com and pick up a copy today, right?
Sure. That'd be great. It'll help your life, people. Yep.
Yeah, it will. And it's 10 times better than that Guardian article, whatever it was, because I'm like, things I'll never
points,
say.
Though. She makes good
points. Everybody can write a point. Just writing it down so I can understand it. That's different. And you can do it. The friendship upgrade, people. Pick it up. Out of time. See you in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Green